The fighting compartment consists of the turret, which has an all-round traverse, and the body or fighting chamber, on which the turret rests. First, we'll examine the turret.
Well, hello there. I'm Rodney, and I'm here at Hack Green's secret nuclear bunker to tell you about the 1945 Daimler armoured car that we have here at the bunker. I'll tell you a little bit about the history. It's a vehicle that I've had for quite some time now, since the 1980s, and it's been restored, but we're still doing a little bit of work on it to get it ready for when the COVID things die down and we can again take it out and about on the road to see the general public. It was the 113th Dingo ever made by the Daimler Armoured Company under a contract placed with Daimler's on the 10th of June 1944. So we're not too far off D-Day there, for 500 Scout cars. This was commenced on the 15th of December 1944, and the contract was completed in February 1945, and this vehicle was given its fighting number and delivered to the MT depot, that's the motor transport, at Chilwell. It cost the War Department a total then in 1945 of £1,035. And a total of 6,206 dingoes were made for war service and armed duties. This particular dingo was retired from service in 1963 at Northern Ireland Command at Kinnagar. The wartime identification was the reconnaissance corps, and the divisional sign denotes that it was part of a tactical marking, that the dingo was part of the regimental headquarters and part of the troops there. The dingo was found derelict in a tree growing through the middle of it, and it was on its abandoned airfield in Northern Ireland. And the tree was about 3 times higher than the vehicle. So it was very rusty, and a complete restoration was then undertaken, which over the years ended up to be yet another restoration was undertaken. And a number of modifications were made to the dingo to take it from its wartime role into a bit more civilian friendly, because obviously we don't have to bother about things like minefields and people shooting at us with Panzerfausts and anti-personnel things of that nature. The problem with the reconnaissance vehicles was they were made to work on point duty, i.e. right at the front, go out a way to make sure that the field for the troops was clear, and then not necessarily to fight, but retire so that they could bring the battle onwards. So they didn't have very big fuel tanks, which is quite all right for the tactical role, but not really any good if you're going to France or alternatively York in the Dingo on the road, because we don't trail it anywhere, we actually drive it everywhere. So larger tanks were made to fit the Dingo, so that we could do longer distances. These were copy of tanks that were made actually during the Palestine War, because this vehicle also went to Palestine, and one of the problems, they found the same problem, so they manufactured tanks. We got copies of those tanks, and we made them for the Dingo. In addition to that, we removed all of the armour from the underside of the vehicle. This was very weighty. It's sort of 3 inches odd thick steel, and we don't really need it. It just slows the vehicle down. In addition to that, it was armoured on the top. The armour that covered the engine weighed, well, an awful lot. It's 4 people it took to lift this thing. And of course, if there was a problem on the roadside or the motorway, you're not going to get 4 people to lift your armour off to make sure that your plugs are dirty or whatever it is that you needed to do. So we had a facsimile made in aluminium, which I can lift on my own and tinker with the engine or do whatever's necessary. So there were a number of modifications like that that were made so that we could actually run the vehicle anywhere in the country or anywhere in Europe for that matter. And the other thing that we did was to put a tow bar on, just in case we decided to put the caravan on the back so that we could have a go camping or something of that nature. So the Dingo was used quite extensively by ourselves, but we've been rather busy of late doing quite a number of other things at the bunker. So unfortunately the poor old Dingo was left to one side for a number of years and served as a display item on reception as you walked into the bunker. In order for us to put it back on the road for post-COVID running, we decided to do a full recommissioning of the vehicle, and which is just basically changing all of the oils, all of the fluids, making sure that everything's running nicely, and servicing all the major components. Of course, alongside that you come across problems with the vehicle not being in use from time to time, so we had a bit of a leak on the water pump. So currently you'll be able to see the Dingo in a bit of a dismantled state because we're fitting a new water pump, and once that's fitted it should all be running fine and dandy, and post-COVID you can look forward to seeing us up and down the country in our 1945 Daimler Dingo. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I do hope that you're all keeping COVID safe and free and keeping your social distancing and that sort of thing. Things are beginning to get better now, and of course they can only get better. The only way is up. Now then, the item that you had last week was food rations that were given to the Royal Observer Corps for them to take underground in their posts, and very tasty they were too, or at least the jam was. Now then, having said all of that, next week's item is